Welcome. This is the second progress update video. And in this video, we'll discuss three things. So first, I will just recap what the hell is this? Why is it important? Then review October and then look ahead on November, December. And so, yeah, let's dive in. So a recap of what this is. And overall, this is a training protocol or development plan that has two purposes. So first, it seeks to enable me to become the kind of person who can make Future Academy great and probably obtain complementarity with the person that I'm currently running a co-founder experiment with. And then secondly, that it is to make deliberate progress on relevant domains that I think will be very important for my contribution over the coming years. And some of those areas are evidence-based education and facilitation, human development and personal and professional development, and say effective altruism with a psychology focus, and then finally entrepreneurship and organizational performance, working within a team. And that was a quick context, and then let's go to September, October. So let's start with some successes and then discuss some challenges. So one of my goals was aspiring to become a more useful role model, especially in the intellectual domain. And so the way that I had operationalized that was to build solid habits around processing valuable information. And so a success related to that was that I managed to read more than 15 papers while also having engaged with this entire new thing around Future Academy and really just building a lot of enjoyment around reading papers such as, hey, how do I actually interpret effect sizes within psychology? And then also I tend to want to go very deep on things. And so I started practicing getting decent at reading books in 1 hour. So just giving myself, hey dude, you got 1 hour to read through this book and then figure out, hey, do you want to continue reading it or not? And that was a really big deal for me. And so some examples of the books that I did this with was The Good Ancestor and Doing Good Better, which I'd read, I guess, 5 years ago or something. And I think another success I want to highlight would be that I also got around to processing at least one resource in the three most relevant domains. And so here I had the opportunity to provide feedback on the psychology of EA, which is an upcoming academic book by Lucius Cabiola and Stefan Schubert. And hopefully I was useful in providing them with feedback. So let's see. And then I would say another success would be that I process some resources in the domain of evidence-based education and also got a small certificate by the Australian Catholic University based on Michael Notel's recommendation. So that's progress and room for celebration. However, there are also some challenges and some ways in which I fell short of my expectations. So one of the habits was that I want to do 1 hour of reading in the morning on weekdays and then 2 hours on weekends and have an 85% plus consistency. And yeah, I only accomplished 66% consistency. And I think some of the causes were things got busy and then I started to let this habit slip. And also, I think another point in time, I was also just very exhausted on the weekend. And so didn't have the motivation to read for 2 hours straight. And yeah, hopefully this will change in the coming month. Although I'm just lowering it to 30 to 60 minutes per day and then just read more if I feel called to do it. Then I would say, yeah, I think another challenge that is worth highlighting is that I wanted to make sure that I had run 2 facilitator experiments related to Future Academy, such that I could get back in the groove of doing in-person facilitation. And I did do 1 test run of a session. However, I ran 6 sessions at the first Impact Summit, and this is just way too many and way too little prep. And yeah, so this was just suboptimal. And I think the reasons were that I was confident, or just planning fallacy. So strongly underestimated how much time and energy it would take for me to actually do a 6 out of 10, where 10 would be something like world-class level, a 6 out of 10 quality presentation or facilitation. And that's one side. And then another side of it was also that I underestimated how many good facilitators that are out there. And so it would have been wiser for me to just pick fewer and then make sure that I did them well, and let's say enable or empower others to facilitate things that they've already done, 1 or 2 or 3 times before, or maybe even many times before. This was a really big challenge and mistake, but mistake. So this just means that next time it will be better, and I have much more clarity on how I will approach the second Impact Summit in that regard. Yeah, so those were some highlights from October, and then let's look ahead and look at November, December. So I would say the purpose of the second iteration of my development plan is to enable me to become a better leader, team member, and professional while leading a balanced life and maintaining good habits around becoming a useful role model. And we can then ask ourselves, why is that important? Well, I finally owned a pretty big realization, is that I've never fully worked as part of a team, nor in a conventional professional role. And so this means that there are many fundamental things, like even just reliable communication and how to be a good manager, that I haven't learned, and just significantly underestimated how many important things there and difficult things there are around that. Therefore, I decided that November, December, I will focus much more on these aspects and a bit less on the, hey, let's acquire a lot of information. Yeah, so let's dive into some of the specific examples of what this would look like. And so I identified some essential and then some non-essential things, habits, practices that I think would enable me to close the gap between, let's say, current me and the version of me who's at least a mildly great selfless, so kind of low ego leader and team member. And I decided on the essential based on that I think that they're unlikely to be cultivated and taken care of outside of this development plan, whereas there are many other things that I'll be doing that are likely to just be a natural part of, more organic part of running Future Academy and some other existing opportunities that I do have. Because I don't know, I probably not done a particularly good job at contextualizing this, because this is, a plan that seeks to support the 2 purposes that I mentioned in the beginning, namely to make Future Academy great and become the kind of person who can then co-found something more serious next year. And this basically means that I'm doing more than a full-time job, and then this development plan is that to supplement or further that. So it's not as if this is the only thing that I'm doing in my with my time. So with that said, what are some of the essential things that will enable me to close the gap between where I am right now and where I would like to be during November and December? One of them is to develop a thriving lifestyle in a way that takes care of myself, develop a thriving lifestyle in a way that enables me to take care of myself. And the short version was, I've been pretty exhausted in the past 2 weeks, to be honest. And some of the things that I know serve me well, I've let them slide. So concretely, I do have a masterpiece evening where I go to bed at a certain time and also do my tracking that I'll just show briefly in a bit. And I've been way too lenient on that, and also didn't have my browsers blocked and my apps blocked at a certain point in time. So I will get back on track, because I just know that having that masterpiece evening with solid sleep and replenishing is just so important. And then associated with that is also, given that I start my workday at 7:30, it's also pretty important that I do a proper shutdown complete. And here this will be before 6 p.m. 5 out of 5 days. Yeah, so those are 2 examples under this goal. But it's not just given, I also want to be, or I'm data driven, and I would like to not be self-delusional here. And so I do have a tracking sheet. And so as you can see, I've transferred the things that I know I want to do related to this thriving balanced lifestyle. I've added that to my tracking sheet such that I will, so basically if so I can keep track on whether I hit it or not. And yeah, I've done that with all of the things that I'm showing you. And then a second avenue is to become a more professional, reliable, and mindful communicator. And so here I have some process or lead metrics and some outcome goals. And some of the lead metrics is that I spent 1 hour on email, Slack, and Asana after lunch today. So I want to do that at a specific point in time. And then how mindful and lighthearted was I during the communication? Because I noticed that in the past it was tended to be associated with, let's say, anxiety and stress, because I felt as if I was just way unreasonably behind and unreliable on certain things. And that is true, but it's not it's not conducive to be anxious and judgmental of myself in the moment. So rather I want to be, self-compassionate and just present, and make sure that I'm therefore also deliberate and effective while I am processing and engaging with the communication, because then I will also be a much better communicator, because I will actually be able to stimulate the other person that I will be writing to, instead of just being stressed and kind of just focused on myself. Then I would be able to, hey, okay, how much context do they actually have here? What if I, add a smiley or something that might make it better for them? Stuff like that. And again, I have added that to my tracking sheet. And then finally, I think another thing that I would like to emphasize here is that I would like to become a better selfless leader and team member. And so one process lead metric that I have here is whether I had a recurring meeting with one or all of the 3 to 4 core team members today. Obviously, I don't expect myself to have a meeting with them every day. I just want to make sure that I have meetings with them roughly once per week. And so I have set up recurring meetings, but just hopefully this will enable me to kind of build better intuitions around the importance of having recurring check-ins. And then importantly, that I do a 5-minute check-in and check-out before the meeting. So instead of just kind of rushing into the meeting and not being particularly well prepared, then making sure that I've taken a step back and thought about, hey, what are actually the bigger goals that they're pursuing now? What are maybe some of the points of frictions we've had in the past in our collaboration, anything like that I want to talk about or be mindful of. And then importantly, that I empower someone else to do good work today. And I think given my lack of working within an organization, I tend to be relatively individualistic. So if there's something important, I'm like, okay, let me just do it myself. If I get stressed, then it's just like, okay, hey, let me just do it myself. But actually realizing that it's extremely important that I enable or empower others to do good work, and that I cannot do things alone. Yeah, so those are some examples of the things that I hope to be doing here for November, December. And maybe one final, hopefully useful thing will be that I've set up a much more deliberate goal system now that is more integrated into the Future Academy team. And so this is following the OKR, so the objective and key results. You can look that up. But I basically have identified 5 objectives for the rest of the year, and also some sub key results there. So yeah, overall, hopefully this was useful for you. It's certainly very useful to me to be able to share my update, and feel as if there are other people with me on the journey here towards trying to contribute to a flourishing long-term future for all, while becoming my best self. Lead a fulfilling life. Oh, and one final shout out is I just want to express strong gratitude for Ville Skovlund, who has have been with me on this Future Academy journey and just been a source of inspiration, of really great feedback. And also Loe Lundin for having provided feedback on my development plan, and Paul Rode, who has been supporting me as my coach and one of my best friends, and Michael Notel for having been willing to mentor me Yeah, thank you to all of you, and importantly, to someone who recently joined the team, David Estelor, who is editing these videos. Thank you, David. I'm looking forward to the next update, which will be by the end of November. So let's see how it goes, and wish me luck.